In just a little bit closer here, see if I can get a read on some of these roads here. Let me go ahead and X off the little draw tool here. Let's see, there's County Road 26, there's Bay Road, County Road 26, like I mentioned. We also have, zooming in just a little bit closer here at some of these roadways, there's US Highway 98, Mill Avenue. You need to get into your tornado safety place. Again, an interior room of your home, an interior closet with with several walls, an interior bathroom with no windows, or a basement if you do have one. This is a tornado warning that will continue for the next several minutes here as it continues to move onshore into southwestern portions of Baldwin County. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning was also issued for that same area, but this is an area of rotation that the National Weather Service has been watching as it moved across Mobile Bay. They were talking about the potential for maybe seeing a water spout form, and we tried to get a good look at it from our Grand Hotel at Point Clear camera, but unfortunately we were not able to see much of that. But you can clearly see that it's really starting to come together now, especially when we're starting to really see a little bit more of those blues, which is just an area of some very strong winds and most likely rotation. So let's go ahead and kind of track this a little bit. We'll kind of bring this out a couple of miles here. We'll go about 20 miles just to give you guys an idea and a timeline of when we could start to see these. So it looks like Bayside. Let me move over here so you can see it a bit better. So areas like Bayside, you have about 6 minutes. Magnolia Springs, 14 minutes until this is in your area. Also areas to watch out downstream: Foley, Alberta, Mifflin, the Summerdale area. I would consider you guys in the path right now. It is just outside of Bon Secours and Oyster Bay. You guys are not under that tornado warning, but either way, Bayside, Barnwell, Marlow, Foley, Summerdale, just to name a couple of those cities there. You need to be paying attention and getting into your tornado safety place at this time. And again, I do understand we're covering a program, but we do want to cover this tornado warning, especially for those folks in southwestern Baldwin County. It's also producing quite a bit of lightning here. And switching just back over to reflectivity real quick, you can see a lot of reds and oranges indicating some very heavy rainfall and most likely some pretty gusty winds associated with this particular thunderstorm. And we're also starting to see maybe what's called an inflow notch, which is basically winds just kind of getting pulled into the thunderstorm. So I'm saying if we see an area of rotation, it's most likely going to be this little area right here. If I can zoom in just a little bit closer to what I was talking about, this little area right here, it's not a large inflow notch, but you can definitely see that's where the strongest rotation we're currently seeing at this time. Switching over to shear real quick, and again, shear is just an area of different wind directions. You can see that the shear is very, very strong. You have a little bit of that curvature there, that little S shape, which is a sign of rotation as well, with just different radar products. So switching back over to storm relative velocity, again, a very good tightening of the reds and greens. And when you start to see those reds and greens come together, that is an indication of potential rotation. In fact, kind of using this tool here, we do see winds anywhere from 31, let's see, 31, about 50, 15, 34, just kind of in that specific area there. So this is a pretty strong gusty rotation that we're currently seeing right now. So again, if you're just now tuning in, we do have a tornado warning in place for portions of southwestern Baldwin County. It is moving to the east and the northeast at this time, so it's getting ready to kind of move onshore and impact areas like the Barnwell community, Magnolia Springs, Marlow. Foley needs to pay attention. Summerdale, you're not in the polygon at this time, but definitely continue to pay attention as this could be heading in your direction. I'm going to kind of zoom down back here down to ground level so I can read some of these roadways here. There's County Road 9, again, US Highway 98. We see Magnolia Springs. There's Norris Lane, County Road 28, County Road 32, River Park is another area that needs to be paying attention. County Road 11, there's Turkey Branch, like I mentioned earlier, Poser Drive, looks like Bama Lane. We also have Worcester Drive, Mackenzie Lane. We also have County Road 9 and Underwood Road. Again, I'm just kind of reading off the roads as much as I can and zooming down just a little bit further here. So again, we have some of those roadways there that need to be paying attention at this current time. I'm going to go ahead and step off screen, see if the National Weather Service is saying anything at this time. But again, this tornado warning is for southwestern Baldwin County, giving a time here. I'm looking at the National Weather Service here. It will continue until 1:15 p.m. It says a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located 5 miles west of Magnolia Springs or 6 miles southeast of Point Clear. So if those areas do sound familiar, and it looks like it's starting to tighten up just even a little bit more, let's go ahead and take a look at these winds once again, because those are really starting to pick up. 54, almost 60 miles per hour. let's see here, clicking 22. So yeah, so anywhere from 40 to 60 miles per hour associated with this particular area of rotation. It's really starting to tighten up quite a bit. Taking a look at the shear here, the shear continues to remain very strong, has a little bit of curvature to it, indicating that area of rotation. Not to mention too, that you're most likely not going to be able to see anything with this particular warning, because look at all this heavy rainfall that's currently falling across southwestern portions of Baldwin County. Again, lots of blinding rainfall. We have lightning in play. Strong gusty winds that may not be even associated with this particular tornado warning, because again, you can still see that severe thunderstorm warning in place for surrounding areas like the Fairhope area, Battles Wharf, all the way up towards Robertsdale, Summerdale. Looking downstream, we see Alberta's included and Mifflin as well, and even Oak and Bon Secours is actually outside of that polygon there, but you can also see areas like Oak as well. So again, this tornado warning continues until 1:15 p.m. Lots of heavy rainfall and lightning associated with this. So again, this is going to be very blinding, so don't go outside and try to find this area of rotation. Continues to look like it's really starting to get its act together. A lot of those greens and reds, even starting to see some pink popping up, which is an indication of tightness of rotation here. Again, this is just a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado, but it does have some pretty decent rotation associated with this particular area of this thunderstorm. So zooming down to roadways once again so we can read them. This is pretty much approaching County Road 1 at this time. Foots Landing needs to be in their tornado safety places. US Highway 98 needs to be paying attention. Turkey Branch. We also have Bayside. County Road 9 needs to be paying attention. Zooming out just a little bit more so I can look downstream here. We have Magnolia Springs needs to be paying attention. Going ahead and putting a timestamp on here, we'll go ahead and start about right here and kind of drag this out just so we can get some times associated with some of these communities here. So yeah, Magnolia Springs, you have about 15 minutes. Bayside, you need to be in your tornado safety places as of right now. You have about 5 to 7 minutes to get there, so please take shelter as quickly as you can. Tornado warning continues until 1:15. Again, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado, and then a lot of lightning like we mentioned before, and a lot of very heavy rainfall associated with this particular thunderstorm. It's going to be pretty much moving to the north and northeast, so you can see kind of the direction of where the tornado warning is kind of shaping right now. Switching back over to shear, you can definitely see some very heavy and strong winds associated with this. See, this is what you don't want to see. This little S shape right here, that's an area of pretty strong rotation. We don't have any confirmation if this is a tornado, but it's definitely a severe thunderstorm warning capable of producing a tornado at this time. Zooming down a little bit closer to some of those roadways, if I can see them. I'm going to step off screen here so I can read some of these. So again, Mill Avenue, US Highway 98, County Road 9, Poser Drive, Mackenzie Lane, Keller Road, Mary Ann Beach Road. Everybody in those immediate areas need to be in their tornado safety shelters as quickly as can. This storm is moving to the north and northeast at 15 miles per hour. So even though it's slow moving, it's still capable of kind of strengthening as these continue to move onshore into southwestern portions of Mobile County. Kind of looking at the National Weather Service, yes, they're indicating some very tight rotation that we can also see on our radar site, intention rotation radar 6 miles south of Point Clear, also moving to the east as well. So it looks like we got our new radar scan here. So let's switch back over to storm relative velocity. We'll kind of zoom this out a little bit. Still seeing some pretty tight colors here. This little tool here, kind of circling it right here. That's the area of concern that we're currently watching right now. It was starting to show some signs of rotation back off towards the middle of Mobile Bay as it was tracking its way from southern Mobile County and heading towards southwestern portions of Baldwin County, but it loosened up a little bit, but now it looks like it's starting to really tighten itself once again. So that's why they did issue that tornado warning. It's still a little bit offshore, but it is continuing to move a little bit closer to the coast of southwestern Baldwin County. So again, this is a tornado warning that continues until 1:15. If you're just now tuning in, we do understand we're interrupting program, but we want to give everyone the information that they need, especially for folks in southwestern Baldwin County, as there is a tornado warning in place. Zooming in just a little bit closer again, the Foots Landing area, County Road 1 needs to be in their shelter places. There's County Road 11 as well. US Highway 98, we have the Barnwell community. We have Turkey Branch that kind of looking downstream needs to be in their tornado safety places. We also have Bayside at County Road 9. Zooming out just a little bit more downstream here, Magnolia Springs needs to be paying attention. We have Weeks Road, Norris Lane, County Road 26, again, more portions of Highway 98. Zooming out a little bit more so I can kind of look a little bit further down here. The Foley communities need to be paying attention. I would say Cedar Street, looking downstream here, South and North Mackenzie Streets, Daughtry Road, County Road 65, Underwood Road, County Road 28, and Davis Road need to be paying attention, as this very well could be in your area within the next 15 to I would say about 15 to 25 minutes. It is moving to the north and northeast at about 15 miles per hour as it continues to move onshore in southwestern Baldwin County. So switching back to reflectivity, again, not only are we watching this, still seeing a pretty decent inflow notch, which again, that inflow notch is just winds being brought into the thunderstorm, and it's pretty accurate. This is where we are seeing that rotation. You kind of see that little hook there. So that's what the National Weather Service is watching at this time associated with this particular thunderstorm. And you can see it stretches all the way back towards Mobile Bay and even into portions of the eastern coast of Mobile County. But of course, obviously our main concern is this area of the thunderstorm right here. We also have that severe thunderstorm watch in place for southern portions of Baldwin County that continues as well until 1:15 for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. But you can still see this is a big lightning producer, some very heavy rainfall falling with this particular thunderstorm as well. And it's also had a history of producing hail. You can kind of see a little bit of a hail swath moving from Mobile Bay onshore into southwestern Mobile County, most likely producing hail up to about 1 inch in diameter. So again, that's something to also look out for as well. But obviously our main concern is this tornado warning. So switching back to storm relative velocity here, still seeing some pretty tight rotation as the storm continues to move onshore. Actually, I think most of that should be onshore at this time. You can kind of see it with the reflectivity as well. Again, you have that inflow notch, winds being brought into the thunderstorm. You kind of see a little bit of that hook there, which is the part of a supercell structure when it comes to severe storms just like this. And you can kind of see downstream lots of heavy rainfall as you look off towards Foley, Oyster Bay, and Bon Secours. Other portions of Highway 98 also getting in on some pretty heavy rainfall at this time. So let's go ahead and kind of recap what we're currently seeing right now. If you're just now tuning in, the time is about coming up on 12:42, and we do know we're covering programming, but at the end of WKRG News 5 at noon, we did have a severe thunderstorm warning in place for southwestern portions of Baldwin County that continues until 1:15, and then not too long after, a tornado warning was also issued for southwestern portions of Baldwin County for the very same time, and the reason for that is this area of rotation right here that's really just continuing to tighten itself and become a little bit more intense. We always talk about the reds and the greens coming together, but when you start to really see those blues there, that is a very intense area of rotation in this particular thunderstorm. So if you need to see, it's this area right here that caused that tornado warning to be issued. It is moving to the north and northeast at about 15 miles per hour. And kind of looking downstream here, you can see areas like Bayside. If you live or are traveling along Highway 98, you need to get off the roads into a safety place. The Barnwell community needs to be paying attention. And then kind of looking a little bit further downstream, you can see areas like Summerdale, Foley, Magnolia Springs also need to be paying attention to what this thunderstorm is doing. On top of that, we're also most likely seeing some gusty winds up to about 60 miles per hour, maybe even hail up to about 1 inch. This particular supercell does have a history of producing hail up to about 1 inch in diameter, which is about the size of just under the size of a golf ball. It's about quarter size hail, and that will continue to move to the northeast. And then we also have that severe thunderstorm warning in place for portions of southwestern Baldwin County that continues until 1:15 as well. I'm going to step off screen real quick and kind of take a look at what the National Weather Service is saying at this time.
I was going to say, actually, Lexi,
they are continuing to say that it is exhibiting some intense rotation. We can clearly see, especially with that blue area on our screen there, and it will most likely continue with that tornado motion in an eastward and northeastward direction over the next 15 minutes. So we're going to continue to stay on air and watch this as it continues to develop. We just got a recent scan from the radar. And again, we're not seeing as much blue, but we're still seeing some pretty tight greens and reds associated with this particular thunderstorm. Maybe a little bit of blue just off the coast of Baldwin County there. So again, it's this area right here that I'm circling. That's the area that we're watching for potential rotation. Again, continues to move off towards the northeast at about 15 miles per hour. So exiting off real quick. So if you live in areas like Turkey Branch, Bayside, Barnwell, Foots Landing, even looking downstream to Magnolia Springs, you need to be in your tornado safety places. An interior room of your home, it can be a closet with 4 walls, it could be a bathroom with no windows, or a basement if your home does have one. Just put as many walls between you and the outside world as you can. Also make sure to maybe grab a bicycle helmet. It does sound silly, but if there's any chance for debris, it'll kind of protect your head. Maybe grab some pillows and blankets as well as you head to your safety place in your home for this particular situation. So looking downstream again and kind of zooming into some of these roads, I'm going to read them off again. Again, the main highway that we're watching right now is US Highway 98. We also have areas like Oak Street, Keith Lane, Mill Avenue, County Road 9, Mackenzie Lane, Beasley Road. If those areas do sound familiar to you, I would definitely get into your tornado safety shelter. Zooming in just a little bit closer, we also have some communities here: Live Oak Avenue, McCoy Lane, Cedar Street, Gates Avenue, Rock Street, Dykes Drive, River Lane, Richards Lane. That's just to name a few. Going up a little bit more further north, so I can zoom in some of these. We have Riverside Drive, if that sounds familiar to you. Areas that are starting to see the rotation approaching, again, US Highway 98. We have Poser Drive, Pecan Drive. You all need to be in your tornado safety places. Saddlebrook Circle, hopefully you're already there, along with Dominion Drive. You need to be in your safety places. We also have County Road 11, Mary Ann Beach Road. That's just to name a few. Going back up north here and looking downstream, we have Underwood Road. We have Ann Lipscomb Lane, and I do apologize if I'm mispronouncing these streets here. We also have Norris Lane, Manic Lane, County Road 55, County Road 28, County Road 9, and of course those are just to name a few of those roadways. Looking downstream a little bit further, we have County Road 65, we have Daughtry Road, or Darty Road. We also have North and South Mackenzie Streets. We have South Cedar Street, South Hickory Street, and that's around the Magnolia Springs area, the Foley area. We have Mifflin Road, that's just to name a few. And kind of looking outside, Summerdale's not included, but I would highly recommend Summerdale does need to be paying attention. We continue to see some very tight rotation associated with this particular strong and almost supercell-like thunderstorm. Switching back over to reflectivity, you can see lots of heavy rainfall, lots of lightning. Not seeing a little bit more of that instinct inflow notch that we were seeing earlier, but definitely starting to see continued intense rotation associated with this thunderstorm.
And I think we may have 2 possible little spouts out there now. You can kind of see this as kind of bookend on the storm winds there. So we may have this area kind of stayed in place for the last 5 minutes. It's been waiting its time, but it's starting to build back east, as you said. So yeah, now we're at this point. We're seeing maybe possibly a broad rotation, maybe 2 little spouts out there. It's about 2.5 miles just west of the mouth of Weeks Bay at this time.
That is right. So we are watching 2 little areas like Ed was just mentioning. Again, if you're just now tuning in, at the end of WKRG News 5 at noon, we did have a severe thunderstorm watch issued for southwestern portions of Baldwin County. You can see this yellow box here. It includes areas like Point Clear, Fairhope, Robertsdale, and Summerdale. But then not too long after, there was a tornado warning issued for the same portion of southwestern Baldwin County. So areas like Bayside, Barnwell, Marlow, Foley, areas along US Highway 98 are all included in this tornado warning box, and both of these will continue until about 1:15. So let's go ahead and switch over to storm relative velocity once again, because we continue to get these radar scans, and we're starting to see, again, continuing to see a bit of some tight rotation here, but also maybe right here as well, like Ed was just mentioning earlier. So definitely a couple of areas that we do want to watch, especially since it looks like right now it continues to stay just a little bit offshore of Baldwin County, but certainly going to be moving onshore here in just a couple of minutes. So again, County Road 1, Foots Landing are just some of those roads. County Road 11 needs to be paying attention. Looking downstream, we have Bayside and we have Bay Road West. And actually going ahead and kind of just putting a timestamp on here, I'm going to take off the lightning for now just so we can see this just a little bit better. But just know that this thunderstorm, this particular strong and severe thunderstorm is producing quite a bit of some lightning at this time. So let's go ahead and put a little timestamp on this. It's moving to the northeast about 15 miles per hour here. So here's a little bit. So Bayside, at least with this particular area right here, you have about 10 minutes, and then Magnolia Springs has about 15 to 20 minutes associated with the chance of that thunderstorm making its way closer to your area. So again, make sure you are in your tornado safety places, interior room of your home. It could be a closet with several walls. It could be a bathroom with no windows. It could be a basement if your house has one. Just make sure you're getting inside a building that has a very good structure and has 4 walls. Put as many walls between you and the outside world as possible. Obviously, a mobile home is not the most ideal building to be in, especially in a situation like this. Zooming in just a little bit closer, we can see, yeah, Highway 98 getting in on some of this, Magnolia Springs, Marlow, zooming in just a little bit closer and looking at some of these roadways. I'm going to read off some of them again. I know it just got done, but again, the storm, it continues to move up towards the northeast at 15 miles per hour. We have County Road 9, Magnolia Springs Highway, County Road 26, Underwood Road, County Road 65, Darty Road. We have Turkey Branch, State Highway 181 also needs to be paying attention. If you live up near River Park, Marlow, County Road 28, County Road 32, you need to be in your tornado safety places. Again, this is the area that we're watching right here. And it looks like almost, like Ed was mentioning, 2 different areas.
Yeah, they're actually calling that one on the north possibly what we call an anticyclonic, maybe actually spinning clockwise there on the northeast side of that sort of broader circulation. So kind of a little bit of a rare sight to see on the storm winds this afternoon.
Yeah, so you see a lot of those. You see this area has the green and reds together, but also this area right here. So that's what Ed was just mentioning as well. Exiting that off, switching back to reflectivity, you can still see this storm is producing some very heavy rainfall, and like we mentioned before, still producing quite a bit of some lightning activity as well. We could definitely see it in this tornado warned box. We can also see it in that severe thunderstorm warning box as well. Looking back off towards Mobile Bay, you can see a large cluster of storms are tracking its way to the east. You can see some of those storms coming off the eastern coast of Mobile County. Lots of heavy rainfall back off towards Grand Bay and Irvington and Bailey's Corner. This, of course, moving just to the east and to the northeast of the Alabama port. You can also see areas like Orange Beach, Bon Secours, Oyster Bay, Gulf Shores, Josephine, Mifflin, Alberta, getting in on some very heavy rainfall as well. Most likely some pretty gusty winds as well. But again, this is the strongest part of the thunderstorm that we're currently seeing right now, associated in southwestern Baldwin counties. You could see Daphne's getting in on some heavy rainfall, portions of Highway 90, the Loxley community, and as you begin to cross over the Causeway and the Bayway.
And this just in from the Weather Service, they will continue this tornado warning. They're calling this a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. This is located now 5 miles southwest of Magnolia Springs, or 8 miles southeast of Point Clear. And it's now slowed down. It's only moving east now at 10 miles per hour. So again, very unusual circulation, but it's very slow moving. This is yet to make its come ashore. And now it appears maybe we're trending towards the southern end of that tornado warning box. So it's looking a little bit better for Bayside. But folks in Magnolia Springs, there are some very strong winds there just to your south that are coming on shore ahead of the actual circulation. So again, they'll continue the tornado warning until 1:15, with the storm now tracking east at only 10 miles per hour. And again, they expect this to start coming on shore in the next few minutes.
All right, the time is coming up on 12:53. If you're just now tuning in, I do know we're repeating a lot, but obviously a lot of folks tune in at different times, and we just want to make sure everyone has the most up-to-date information, especially with a particularly strong and severe thunderstorm like this one. So if you're just now tuning in, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in place for portions of southwestern Baldwin County. And then not long after, a tornado warning was issued for portions of southwestern Baldwin County that will both continue until 1:15 p.m. So as long as this rotation remains tight, and as long as the warning, the tornado warning at least, remains in place, we'll continue to stay on air and bring you guys the latest information. So it does include areas like Bayside, Magnolia Springs, We also see areas like Norris Lane, County Road, Bay Road West, Farmers Road, County Road 1. Also included in this particular tornado warning. You can see Foots Landing has actually been trimmed out of the warning, but either way, most likely still seeing some pretty strong winds and some heavy rainfall. Looking downwind, you can see Foley is just outside of this tornado warning, so are South Mackenzie Street and North Mackenzie Street. And Darty Street is also trimmed back as well, but you can see Summerdale getting in on some pretty heavy rainfall as well. It looks like also from what Ed said with the new update with this tornado warning, it is slowing down just a little bit. We've been seeing it move to the northeast at 15 miles per hour. It's now moving to the east at 10 miles per hour. So it's a pretty slow moving storm, but either way, still a very strong and severe thunderstorm as well. You could see the large capacity of it, but you can also see some very heavy rainfall and active lightning. Zooming into the shear product, you could still see a little bit of that S shape, and again, that is an indication of some not only very, very strong winds, but also the potential for some rotation within this particular thunderstorm. And we've also seen this thunderstorm have a history of producing hail, most likely up to 1 inch in diameter, which is about quarter size. You can see some of that moving just to the south of Foots Landing, just to the north of Bayside, and to the southeast of Barnwell community. We also see a little bit of hail coming onshore as it moves towards Bay Road West,
And Lexi, we just got this in. The Weather Service now believes that this storm is beginning to cycle, and so it appears to be developing a new area of rotation. And this would be to the southeast of the original rotation. This is now southwest of Magnolia Springs. I think it's that area that's just coming on shore now.
Yeah, this one right here.
Yeah, that's the new rotation that's developing. So now it's actually outside of the warning box. So so this is now drift a little bit closer to Bon Secours. Better news for Magnolia Springs and Bayside overall, but it's areas just to the south there that so we may actually get a little update to this warning box in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. So areas I would say like County Road 12 South, Benton Road, Norris Lane, Roy Waters Road, Null Road, areas along Magnolia Springs Highway, County Road 65, and Bon Secours Highway, if you know anyone along those areas, may want to continue to pay attention. You're not in that tornado warning, but like Ed was mentioning, it looks like some of that is starting to move starting to have a little bit more of an easterly direction and moving towards those areas. So we haven't had word yet from the National Weather Service if they are going to issue they just did. So they are going to issue a new tornado warning for that particular area of rotation, the one I'm circling on my screen right now, this area right here, because it is moving outside of the previously tornado warned box, and now it's going to include a couple of more areas. So we'll kind of wait for that to pop up. But for now, we do have only one tornado warning active right now for southwestern portions of Baldwin County, again, for that same area of rotation. Again, like we mentioned, it's starting to take a little bit more of an easterly track compared to a northeasterly track that we were seeing at the very top of when we broke in on air. It is slowly coming up on 1 o'clock. This warning continues until 1:15, and we're getting ready to see what this new warning is going to be issued for, at least for those southern areas that are not in the tornado warned box, at least at this time. Also, we have that severe thunderstorm warning still in place for a large portion of southwestern Baldwin County. Includes areas like Robertsdale, Summerdale, the Foley community, Alberta, Mifflin. Bon Secours is just outside of it. You can see Battles Wharf and Fairhope also included. The Barnwell community, Clay City, and Marlow. That's just to name a few of those cities also under that severe thunderstorm warning. Still producing quite a bit of some heavy rainfall. In fact, that little area of rotation we were seeing, starting to see a little bit more of a distinct inflow notch, winds coming into the thunderstorm. So they're coming in that direction, and that's particularly where we're currently seeing that area of most likely new rotation. A lot of good tightness with this red and green colors that you do see on your screen. And what do I mean by that? The reds and the greens, those are winds that are coming in different directions, and when they start to mix together, that is a sign of rotation when it comes to strong and severe thunderstorms, quite like this one.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say, this has now become kind of the main sort of dominant mesocyclone with this thing. It's been a very interesting storm to watch in the last couple of minutes, as it looked like it was moving east, then the storm just kind of stopped and hung offshore for really about 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And now this is the dominant cyclone, so the warning should be coming out any second.
Yeah, we're still waiting on that new warning to come out. The National Weather Service says they are going to issue a new warning, most likely for those areas south of this previously tornado-warned cluster of thunderstorms. So there's the notification there. We'll wait for it to pop up on our link system here so we can get a good idea of how large or how further downstream this warning is going to be issued here.
Lexi, I'll go ahead and read it off for you here. Here's a severe thunderstorm warning capable of a tornado. 8 miles southwest of Foley. This is actually, they're calling it nearly stationary, so that's why it's a small box.
Yeah.
So assume that this is going to be moving pretty slow if it is moving, but folks in that box need to start moving inside now.
Yeah, so here is that new warning. And how long does the warning continue for?
The 1:45 is going to be the length of this warning.
All right, yeah, so that's for the new warning. The new warning continues until 1:45. The other will expire at about 1:15, which is coming out in about 15 minutes. So again, just kind of recapping real quick. It's coming up on 1 o'clock now. We did break in on air for that tornado warning that was issued for southwestern Baldwin County, but now there is a second warning out for a separate section of southwestern Baldwin County that we were just talking about. That one continues until 1:45 for this particular area of tight rotation. So again, those reds and greens really coming together. So zooming in just a little bit closer so we can take a look. So like I mentioned, when we were reading off these roadways, we see County Road 12 South will be included in this. Benton Road, Norris Lane, Roy Waters Road is also in this tornado warned storm. Bon Secours Highway, I would include Bon Secours in this warning box as well. We also have Null Road, like we mentioned, Roy Waters Road, and County Road 65 as road kind of looking downstream. And it looks like this particular thunderstorm just continues to slow down. So with that one we saw issued just after News 5 at noon, it was moving to the northeast at about 15 miles per hour, and then they kind of continued the warning and they gave it a speed of 10 miles per hour. So yeah, it is starting to slow down quite a little bit. That's why the tornado warned storm, the box is not as big because it's moving very, very slow. If it was moving a little bit quicker, the box would be quite big. But of course, that doesn't really kind of excuse the fact that there is some pretty tight rotation associated with this particular area of this thunderstorm. So again, reflectivity again shows some pretty heavy rainfall, and you can still see a pretty distinct inflow notch. Oh, there's a new radar scan. It's not looking as impressive now, but either way, you can still kind of see a little bit of that inflow. Winds kind of rushing into the thunderstorm, and you can kind of see it hooking just a little bit. Again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning capable of producing a tornado, but again, we've been watching this pretty much since just before the noon show. We were starting to see some of that rotation as this particular thunderstorm was crossing over Mobile Bay and continuing to kind of tighten itself and then kind of recycle itself once again. And I think that's exactly what this storm is doing. It's kind of loosening up a little bit and then kind of recycling itself and coming together once again. And that may be the pattern for some of these thunderstorms throughout the rest of our afternoon into the early evening. We do not have any active severe weather watches in place at this time. We only have the couple of tornado warnings in place and that severe thunderstorm warning as well.
And Lexi, I'm looking at the debris tracker on our screen right now. We got a very small little dropout that's starting to occur where this circulation is located. So we'll have to watch. We may actually have a waterspout that's actually now moved on shore as a tornado. We'll have to wait and see the next scan, see if we get any kind of more significant dropouts in our debris tracker. But I'm seeing sign of a small little dropout there where this circulation is located. So areas just north of Bon Secours, south of Highway 98. If you're in that area, you need to go ahead and start moving into your tornado safe place right now, because it appears the storm is no longer stationary. It's probably now moving east slowly, probably around 10 miles per hour or less. But there is a very, very small washout. Actually, here we go. We just actually now got a report here. This is from this storm earlier that there was a waterspout that was sighted via some viewers actually spotted this waterspout over the mouth when it was near Weeks Bay. It has drifted farther south. But yeah, so this is now appears to be starting to move a little bit here east, maybe about 5 to 10 miles per hour. But yeah, we're keeping that. We're noting a small little drop out there in the debris tracker this afternoon. So, and actually now they are calling this. This is a confirmed tornado located near Magnolia Springs, 6 miles southwest of Foley. It's now moving east at 10 miles per hour. So now, folks, they're going to upgrade this to a confirmed tornado. A tornado is now on the ground. south of Magnolia Springs, northwest of Bon Secour. And if you click the debris tracker there, Lexi, click debris there on the screen, you can clearly see we have a debris signature on the ground right there. So that is a tornado on the ground, folks. Get into your safe place if you're north of Bon Secour, south of Highway 98, southwest of Foley. This is now a tornado on the ground that is doing damage. And it's moving again now to the east at 10 miles per hour. So they have now upgraded this. You can see the box there on the screen is now blinking. So that is now a confirmed tornado on the ground. Thankfully, it appears to be over mostly woods and trees at this time, but it's not that far away from the Magnolia Springs Highway. It'll take a little while to get there. It's only moving at 10 miles per hour, so you've got time to get out of its way and move into your tornado safe place. This will stay south of Magnolia Springs, and if it continues on its current track, it would come closer to Bon Secour if it continues there at 10 miles per hour. So there's the track that Lexi's dropping on it there. So you can see, I mean, we're talking still about 20 minutes out from Bon Secour, but all of the streets there, areas just west of Bon Secour. Thankfully, the street grids aren't too tight, but we do have some homes and some businesses down there south of Magnolia Springs. And so again, tornado on the ground. And also, they are now warning this as well about this storm. They are considering to upgrade a considerable flash flood threat now that's developing in South Baldwin County. So we have multiple threats now, flash flooding and now a tornado on the ground at this time, Lexi. So a very dangerous storm moving into South Baldwin County.
Yeah, I think this has been the strongest thunderstorm we have seen so far today. We did have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings early on this morning, and we had that earlier tornado warning in portions of Escambia County, Alabama, but I think this one has been the strongest we have seen so far for today. And again, it's this area that was under that level 2 out of 5 risk for this afternoon. And as expected, we're expecting most of these strong storms to continue mainly for southern portions of our Gulf Coast counties in Northwest Florida and more along the coast. And we can actually see that rotation continuing to tighten up, starting to look a little bit more pink, which is an indication of some pretty strong winds. In fact, let's go ahead and kind of click here and take a look at some of these winds. 62 mile per hour winds, 39, 20, see, yeah, I would say about 50 to 60 mile per hour winds associated with this particular area of rotation, which again is now a confirmed tornado. Like Ed mentioned, you can see the red box is flashing, which means that it is a confirmed tornado. This warning continues until 1:45 and is moving to the east at 10 miles per hour. So like he said, it's a very slow moving storm as it continues to move onshore into southwestern Baldwin County. So again, you need to be in your tornado safety places. You're not going to be able to see anything, especially since there was so much heavy rainfall associated with this particular strong and severe thunderstorm. The same can be said for that other tornado warning up towards our north that will continue until 1:15 p.m. Keep in mind, too, we still have a severe thunderstorm warning in place for a large portion of southwestern Baldwin County. Switching back over to shear, you can still see a little bit of that S curvature, which again is a sign of rotation. Also some very strong winds in this cluster of showers and thunderstorms that's continuing to move off towards the east here. Base velocity, you can really definitely see it in base velocity. A lot of those colors coming together and tightening up a little bit. And over the last several minutes here, we have seen this storm, as we mentioned before, kind of broaden up its rotation, but then it kind of recycles itself and then the rotation tightens again. And that may be the pattern for a little bit longer, at least with this particular thunderstorm as it continues to move off towards the east here. So zooming in a little bit closer to some of these roadways, we see Benton Road, County Road 12 South, Norris Lane, Roy Waters Road, Null Road, all included in this confirmed tornado warning. We also have Magnolia Springs Highway, if that does sound familiar to you. We also have Wiley Mobley Lane, Carver Road, Bon Secour Highway, County Road 65, County Road 12 South, like we mentioned. We have Kaiser Road. We have Norris Lane, Sherman Road, Weeks Road, Bay Road East, Magnolia Springs Highway, all included in this confirmed tornado warning, which again continues until 1:45. So the time is now 1:08. We are continuing to stay on air for 2 separate tornado warnings that were issued. We have one tornado warning that is up towards our north here. The one that is not flashing, that one continues until 1:15. We also have a confirmed tornado warning in place for other portions of southwestern Baldwin County that continues until 1:45. We have had confirmation that there is a tornado on the ground. Just looking real quick to the debris signature again, you can see those colors maybe indicating of some debris flying around. So that particular area, that specific warning, if you do live in that box, you need to be in your tornado safety shelters.
And I think they're going to have to make a new update here, because there it is. If you look, the warning, this tornado has just drifted southeast outside of the box. So this is not moving east anymore. It's weakening, but it's now drifting southeast towards Oyster Bay.
Yeah, and again, that's probably something we will continue to see, especially with this particular thunderstorm. It's been kind of doing its own thing for the last several minutes here. It's been moving to the northeast, it's been moving to the east, and now it's moving down towards the southeast. Again, this is just the debris tracker here that's most likely tracking things that are basically not supposed to be in the air. It could be tree branches, it could be twigs, it could be sand, it could be basically anything that's not supposed to be in the air. That's what the debris tracker is currently looking at this time. So switching back to storm relative velocity, we can still see some very tight rotation here with the reds and the greens coming together. And again, the reds and the greens are winds coming in at different directions. So when we really start to see those colors kind of coordinate with one another, that's when we know that there is a sign of rotation. Also maybe seeing some light blue out ahead of this, maybe a sign of some very strong and gusty winds that are beginning to pass just over Bon Secours. And it looks like now we are maybe seeing a new tornado warning being issued.
Yeah. So this is now a tornado warning. The storm is moving southeast at 15 miles per hour. And we have had a report that there was a local storm chase from the area that has observed this tornado that's now right on the coast. So this is now moving southeast towards Oyster Bay, towards Gulf Shores. So this is a big change here. No longer a threat for areas like Foley or Magnolia Springs. This is now a tornado warning for Oyster Bay and Gulf Shores. This new warning is in effect until 2 p.m. this afternoon. This is now considered a damaging tornado, radar confirmed, and it's now 5 miles to the northwest of Gulf Shores, moving southeast at 15 miles per hour. So based off of that timing, if this does hold together, this will get to Gulf Shores in about 15 minutes. This will get to Oyster Bay in less than 5 minutes. So again, we have there's apparently a local storm chaser that has seen this tornado doing damage there right on the coast there of southwest Baldwin County. But now, that's a big change in the new warning box. So folks who are now in Oyster Bay and near Gulf Shores, this will be west of Jack Edwards International Airport. This is an area that has a lot of visitors, a lot of tourists here, and at the very least, strong winds moving in 60 miles per hour as well, along with this now threat of a tornado that's drifting south and east. So if you are in Oyster Bay, if you are in Bon Secours, if you are in Gulf Shores, you need to start moving to your safe place at this time. Debris tracker has now shown that we may have a tornado that is starting to lift now. We're not seeing the confirmed, we're not seeing the actual, we're not actually seeing the confirmed tornado signature that we were just a second ago. But again, this is going to be an area that we got to watch here, because this is, as we've seen, Lexi, this is a storm that's been kind of cycling. It seems to kind of broaden out. Looks like it loses its rotation, then in just a couple of minutes it starts to tighten back up again. So this is going to be a very kind of tricky storm to watch over the next couple of minutes. But as we mentioned, this is now a warning for Oyster Bay, Gulf Shores, and the storm is, again, at the last update, is now located 5 miles northwest of Gulf Shores, and it's moving southeast at 15 miles per hour. We're going to try to adjust some of our cameras, Alexi, see if we can kind of see if we can get anywhere close to even viewing this. It's going to be difficult to see with the rain, but we'll work on that here, Alexi.
Yeah, so just kind of reading off a couple more of these roadways and just areas if they do sound familiar to you. So Gulf Shores, like Ed mentioned, is included. We have East Beach Boulevard. Alabama Gulf State Park is also included. We have Perdido Beach Boulevard. We have Gulf Shores Parkway, Oyster Bay Road, as well as Oyster Bay, also included in this confirmed tornado warning. We have West Beach Boulevard. We just actually got our new radar scan here. And you can clearly see this thing is continuing to push down towards the southeast. Again, has had a history of just really changing directions over the last several minutes here. We've seen it start off moving off towards the northeast, and then it's moved off to the east, and it's now starting to move down towards the southeast. So this really does show you why we have to continue to stay on air and let people know what's going on, because storms like this, they don't have one finite direction. They can change directions at a moment's notice. As we noticed, it started northeast, now it's moving down towards the southeast. So areas in Gulf Shores were not needing to worry about the previous tornado warnings, but now they do. So again, just remember to continue to bear with us as we continue this tornado warning coverage. Areas like Bon Secour also included. There's Oyster Bay. You can see areas outside of this warning box, including Cedar Grove and Gulf Highlands. You're not included in that warning, but we can still see some very distinct tight rotation with this particular thunderstorm. Again, winds coming in at opposite directions that are kind of really coming together. So be in your tornado safety shelter. Do not go outside and try to find this. Again, we've had a report of a storm tracker, storm chaser, kind of having visual of this particular tornado. So you need to be inside. Not to mention too that there's still very heavy rainfall, most likely some pretty gusty winds, as well as frequent cloud to ground lightning associated with this thunderstorm. You're not going to be able to see anything. So just head to your tornado safety place. Make sure you're in interior room of your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside world as you can. It can be a closet, a bathroom with no windows, or it could be a basement if your house does have one. If you live in an apartment complex, now may be the time to maybe make friends with your downstairs neighbor, maybe knock on their door, ask them if you can hang out for just a little bit as the tornado warning continues for the next several minutes here. Or if you live in a mobile home, you may want to find a different structured area. At least get into a building that has a good structure, a good structure, so it's a little bit more safer. But yeah, so we have these tornado warnings right here. The one previously that was for areas like Bayside and Barnwell that has since expired. It was set to expire at 1:15, and sure enough, it's not going to get reissued, as that same thunderstorm that issued that tornado warning is now moving a little bit further down towards the southeast. So again, lots of heavy rainfall. Also, the storm has had a history of producing hail. I don't know if it's producing hail right now, but no, you can clearly see that it has a history of producing hail as it was moving to the northeast, not so much as it continues to track its way down towards the southeast. One thing I do want to point out is a lot of very strong winds making its way closer to the Gulf Shores area. So we're looking at wind shear again. That's just how the winds change in direction a little bit higher up in the atmosphere here. So when you start to see a little bit more of that S shape, this looks a little bit more straight, but you can kind of see a little bit of a curvature right there. That is the area of rotation that we have been talking about for the last several minutes here. Switching back to storm relative velocity, still seeing some very good reds and greens come together, tight rotation. It's pretty much right over Oyster Bay, so hopefully folks in Oyster Bay are in their tornado safety shelters. Gulf Shores, you still have a little bit of time to get to your tornado safety places, but I'm hoping you're there right now, especially since this is a confirmed tornado warning in place, not a considerable, actually. Moving down towards the east here, we'll go about 10 miles here. So I would say, yeah, Gulf Shores has about 15 to 16 minutes to get to your tornado safety shelter at this time.
And good news, we're just looking at the debris signature, and it appears that maybe this is lifted. Just looking at the debris signature in the last couple of minutes, I don't think that's the area. The area appears to have lifted if you at this point. So maybe no longer something on the ground, but still, this could drop another quick tornado at any minute here. So so folks there, it looks like, and I would say it's maybe starting to pass and go south of Oyster Bay, but that looks like a big wind signature there that you're looking at there, Lexi.
Yeah, it certainly is. Still kind of a little bit of that curvature like we were mentioning earlier, but still seeing some very strong winds. Again, the darker greens a little bit weaker, the brighter greens are stronger, and when you start to see a little bit more of those reds and sometimes yellows, we don't see yellow here right now, that's where the strongest winds are currently located in this particular situation. So some very strong winds kind of moving off the coast and just to the west of Gulf Shores, but you also have some strong winds kind of heading in that very same direction as well. You can also see those strong winds have just passed Bon Secour and Oyster Bay, moving just outside of Oak as well. Looking back at the rotation here, still a lot of greens and reds coming together.
And Lexi, the Weather Service just put out a message confirming what we just said, that this tornado appears to have lifted for now. They'll continue to monitor as it could reorganize as it moves south and east. If you're in Gulf Shores, you need to be inside in a sturdy building just in case, at the very least, we're seeing some very strong wind here. But a brief tornado is still possible over the next couple of minutes.
Exactly. And we have seen, again, a history of this thunderstorm, this thunderstorm having a history of kind of cycling and recycling itself. We're also seeing, too, that looks like portions of Highway 98 is flooded in South Baldwin County, so they're closing those roads. Obviously, hopefully you're not traveling at this time, but you want to turn around and don't drown, especially when it comes to flooded roadways like this. Especially since we have such very heavy rainfall just continuing to fall over and over for the last several minutes across a large portion of southern and southwestern Baldwin counties. You could see that from Orange Beach to Josephine up towards Mifflin and even up towards Magnolia and Foley. So there isn't a location of that flooding on Highway 98, but just kind of be mindful of that if you're going to be traveling later today and these storms do clear. But for now, our main focus is this tornado warning, which again, we do believe, the National Weather Service, and we of course do believe that it looks like it has lifted, but either way, they're going to continue to watch this because the storm has had a history of kind of recycling itself. The area of rotation is not looking as strong as it once was, but you can still see a lot of greens and reds kind of correlating with one another, so we definitely want to continue to keep our eyes on that. It's also had a history of changing directions, moving from the northeast to the east and eventually down towards the southeast. And that's the thing with these thunderstorms. They don't have one finite direction, which is the reason why we will continue to stay on air and monitor this until the warnings are expired, because, you know, this thing has been changing directions so often. We've been saying it was heading towards Foley, not so much anymore. Gulf Shores was in the clear, but now they're not. So that's the reason why we'll continue to stay on air just a bit longer. Again, this warning, that includes Gulf Shores and Oyster Bay. That one continues until 2 o'clock. And then the one up towards the north here, which is just located to the south of Magnolia Springs, that will continue until 1:45. It wouldn't surprise me if they do cancel it early, but I think they're going to hold on to that warning just in case, just because of the different directions the storm has been taking over the last several minutes.
Yeah, and also some other new information here. This is that we are getting a lot of reports of now significant flooding in South Baldwin County as well. They have issued a flash flood warning for Mobile and Baldwin counties. That'll continue until 3:30. These very slow-moving downpours are just dropping an absolute ton of rain. Last check here with the flash flood warning that they did issue. So far, we have seen a widespread 2 to 3 inches of rain just in the last hour, and they are expecting another 2 to 4 inches of rain on top of that. And so some areas could end up with 6 to 7 inches of rain here, especially areas south of Highway 98 down towards the Intercoastal, Jack Edwards Airport, even now stretching towards Orange Beach and Mifflin. You can just see all the red. That is going to be a significant, we could see some flash flooding. And this is an area, unfortunately, that does have a tendency to flood easily. We've seen it in the past. Some significant flooding can happen there along Highway 59, especially as you head down towards the airport. Areas there along as you approach the Intercoastal. So that area, entire area south of Highway 98 in South Baldwin County, also under a flash flood warning here until 3:30 this afternoon. Multiple weather hazards, so folks need to stay on top of things. Unfortunately, you see more of that rain back towards South Mobile County. That is all going to move over South Baldwin County, so we have a bit of a training event that's starting to take shape here. So multiple hazards, tornadoes, flooding. It's going to be a very busy couple of hours there in South Baldwin County, Lexi.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has been probably the strongest thunderstorm we've seen so far today. We did have one tornado-warned storm up towards Escambia County, Alabama, about mid to late morning. But I think this one is looking like it's the most strong.
And this just in here. Now the Weather Service is watching a new supercell that's developing in South Mobile County over Grand Bay. This is a new supercell that's developing. Rotation is starting to strengthen in near Grand Bay, southwest of Irvington. It's there near Dixon Corner. This area was actually impacted a couple of nights ago, and now a new supercell is developing there near Fernland. No warning issued yet, but as this rotation continues to tighten, they are watching that this may be the next big storm here. So I'm going to give an early heads up for the folks on Dixon Corner, anywhere along Fowl River, north of Bayou La Battery, north of Coden, and over towards the areas, again, anywhere along the Dog River area and the Fowl River area. This is going to be an area that we have to watch closely over the next couple minutes south of Highway 90.
Yeah, in fact, I went ahead and moved over to Mobile County real quickly. We'll get back to those tornado warnings here in just a second, but this is the area that they were watching. We just got a fresh scan from the radar site. You can see a lot of heavy rainfall associated with this, maybe starting to see a little bit of a broad inflow of winds coming into this thunderstorm, so that's why they're watching it. And even when I switched over to storm relative velocity, you kind of did see some broad rotation associated with that particular thunderstorm. So again, there isn't a warning in place for this particular area, but it's definitely something that the National Weather Service is watching at this time. Let me go ahead and put back reflectivity, and I'll go back to those tornado warned storms in South Baldwin County because that is our main focus at this time. Of course, we'll let you know if anything gets issued for southern Mobile County. But going back to what we're currently seeing right now in south and southwestern Baldwin counties, again, two tornado warnings in place. They are flashing because there was a confirmed tornado, but we think it has since been lifted. But either way, they went ahead and kept the confirmed tag anyway. This one up towards our north here, which includes areas just to the north of Bon Secours and Oak. That one continues until 1:45, so about another 20 minutes. And then another one was issued for areas like Bon Secours, Oyster Bay, Gulf Shores, and far northern portions of the Gulf of Mexico here. That will continue until 2 p.m. for that very same area of rotation that issued this previously tornado warning. So storm relative velocity, I would say this is looking a little bit more broad, but you can still see a little bit of that rotation associated with this thunderstorm.
I absolutely agree. I think this storm is starting to, the term we use a lot of time around here is that it's starting to gust out. It's starting to become more of a straight line wind threat as it's moving along coastal Baldwin County. And you can even see the shear numbers have come down significantly on that storm. And that's going to continue to travel and gust out to the east. So if you're in Village Tanin over towards Orange Beach, you've got some very strong, maybe 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts coming in over the next couple of minutes. So you need to actually start making your way inside if you haven't already. There in south coastal Baldwin County as that storm starts to work on through. All right, they have now canceled the tornado warning in Baldwin County. At this time, there's now a cancellation of the tornado warning in Baldwin County. I'm assuming it's going to be for the larger one there that was just issued here. So I think the tornado threat, at least for the short term, is coming to an end there, Lexi.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and see which warning it is. I feel like it would be the one that would expire at 1:45, but they very well could cancel both of them.
Yeah.
Obviously, that would be the most ideal because I think what you said, Ed, I think you're right. I think it's becoming a little bit more of a straight line wind threat. It is starting to gust itself out. But either way, strong winds are going to be a concern. Not to mention, too, like we mentioned, lots of heavy rainfall continuing to pour over this specific area of South Baldwin County. And then we have this whole other large heavy rainfall kind of moving across Mobile Bay, like you said, kind of training itself. And what do we mean by training? Exactly in the name. You start with the lead thunderstorm, and then right behind it, there's more gusty winds, there's more heavy rainfall, and it kind of just follows the same path as that original leading thunderstorm. So that's what we mean by training. And again, that can cause, flash flooding. It can cause, roadways to become flooded. Like we mentioned before, I think they issued a flash flood warning in place for portions of South Baldwin County. So just to give you an idea of, how much rainfall they are going to see. It also looks like they're going to cancel both, it looks like.
Yes.
We'll kind of wait for this to drop a little bit, and if it does so, we'll most likely get you back to programming.
Yep, they are going to cancel this southern storm here as well. So as they're seeing exactly what we're seeing, that this is starting to become more of a wind event and a rain event here, Lexi.
Yeah, obviously that's something that we do like to see. Yeah, I think it's starting to look a little bit more of a straight line wind threat. In fact, we could see that probably a little bit more with the shear. I mean, you could kind of see still curving, but it's a little bit more straight.
Yeah.
But either way, straight line winds can still cause some pretty significant damage. And then you could see the shear is not as strong as it once was when the storm was a little bit more up towards the north and the northwest. So like Ed said, we do think it's starting to gust itself out, but either way, lots of heavy rainfall. Breezy, gusty winds, and even the chance for hail are still going to be a concern with this particular cluster of thunderstorms. Again, like we mentioned before, it's continuing to just bring lots of heavy rainfall across our area. So it looks like that tornado warning has since expired. So we do not have any more active warnings at this time. So we'll go ahead and send you back to programming. I'm meteorologist Lexi Birmingham alongside Chief Meteorologist Ed Bloodsworth. We'll be here throughout the afternoon to keep you guys updated and weather aware. No word yet if a new watch will be issued for the area. We do have flood watch watch is in place until this evening at 9 p.m., but we'll continue to keep you guys updated throughout the rest of the afternoon and evening.